The Mockery of Earth. Velthor Prime, Galactic Council Chambers. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council was an architectural marvel, a vast chamber of floating platforms, shifting in lazy orbits around a glowing central podium. It was here, among the greatest military minds of the universe, that the fate of humanity was being decided. Admiral Elias Ward of the Terran Republic stood in the center, his posture straight, his expression unreadable. Around him, dozens of alien species loomed, some seated, some floating, others coiled in their natural forms. The atmosphere was thick with condescension. The Zelvarn general, Korthak, an 8-foot-tall, reptilian warlord, sneered from his elevated position. His crimson scales gleamed under the council's artificial sun, and his heavy war plate barely shifted as he leaned forward. "This is a joke." His voice was a guttural growl, barely containing his amusement. Laughter rippled through the chamber, chittering from the insectoid Zolthari, clicking sounds from the crystalline Varexi, and even the deep, booming hums of the Trolloc, whose bulk barely fit in their gravity-supported seats. The council had reviewed the military capabilities of humanity, and the conclusion had been clear: they were laughably weak. Unlike the Tarkari, who could regenerate lost limbs, or the Kirax, who wielded psionic abilities, humans had no natural advantages. Their ships were smaller, their weapons crude, their bodies frail compared to galactic standards. And now, as part of their application for full membership, the Terrans were required to prove their military competence. They had submitted a force of 200 soldiers for the upcoming battle simulation. 200, scoffed a Zelvarn officer. "Is this all your planet can muster?" Admiral Ward remained impassive. He had expected this reaction. "Numbers don't win wars," he said, his voice measured. "We brought exactly what we need." The council's laughter grew louder. "And what, exactly, do you call these elite warriors?" asked a high-ranking Zolthari, his chitinous mandibles clicking in amusement. Ward exhaled slowly and let the silence linger before he answered. "Green Berets." The laughter faltered slightly, not because the name meant anything to them, but because of the way he said it, unshaken, unbothered, as if they had no idea what was coming. The battle simulation would take place on Aridax-4, a barren desert world with limited resources. A combined force of 20,000 elite soldiers from various council species would attempt to overwhelm and capture the Terran command post. The humans had to hold out for 48 hours. A Trolloc strategist, a lumbering war beast with gray stone-like skin, rumbled from his seat. "This will be over in less than 6. There were nods of agreement. The Tarkari, experts in planetary assault, boasted about their armored divisions. The Kirax, with their psionic-enhanced assassins, promised that no human would last the night. "They will be nothing but bones by morning," the Zolthari general chittered. Admiral Ward didn't argue. He only gave a small, knowing nod. "We'll see." The official declaration was made. The battle would commence in 48 hours. The assembled aliens left the hall, still chuckling at the absurdity of it all. Only one remained behind, a Varexi observer, its crystalline body shifting with curiosity. It tilted its angular head at Ward. "You're strangely calm for a man about to witness the slaughter of his soldiers." Ward met its gaze. "That's the thing," he said quietly. "It won't be my soldiers who get slaughtered." The Varexi shivered, a sign of unease. And for the first time since the meeting began, an alien stopped laughing. Scene transition, briefing the Green Berets. Back on the Terran military command ship, the 200 Green Berets stood at attention as Ward entered the briefing room. Their faces were hard, unreadable, men and women who had seen the worst the galaxy had to offer. Ward scanned the room and smirked. "The council thinks this is a joke," he said, folding his arms. "They expect you to die." Silence. No reaction. No fear. They have no idea what's coming. A grizzled sergeant, his face lined with scars, chuckled darkly. "Then we'd better educate them, sir." Ward nodded. "Welcome to Aridax-4, gentlemen. Time to teach the galaxy what war really is. Welcome to the jungle that we created. Aridax-4, the battlefield begins." The skies above Aridax burned as the invasion fleet descended. Over 100 landing craft, each brimming with elite alien soldiers, punched through the planet's thin atmosphere, their engines leaving trails of fire in the crimson dawn. The Grand Galactic Army had arrived. The Zelvarn general, Korthak, stood on the command deck of his personal warship, overseeing the operation. His clawed hand rested on the railing as he watched his forces descend like an unrelenting tide. "There will be nothing but dust beneath our boots," he muttered. Below, the combined force of 20,000 troops, Zelvarn warriors in heavy battle armor, Zolthari infiltrators skittering across the dunes, Kirak psionic hunters scanning for enemies, and Trolloc shock troopers wielding massive plasma cannons, began their advance. And yet, something was wrong. Where were the humans? Their command post sat in the distance, a small, fortified structure nestled between rocky hills, completely undefended. No soldiers, no gunfire, nothing. Korthak's frills stiffened in irritation. They've abandoned their position? Cowards! The invasion force pushed forward, the first wave marching toward the structure to claim an effortless victory. Then, the first explosion ripped through their ranks. The Ghost strike first. A Zolthari scout, skittering ahead of the main force, barely had time to register the glint of a wire before the minefield erupted. Fire, sand, and alien bodies flew in all directions as hidden explosives ripped through their formations. Screams filled the comm channels. "They've trapped the terrain," a Tarkari officer bellowed. Before the survivors could regroup, gunfire rained down from the ridgelines. The Green Berets had been waiting. From concealed positions, silenced sniper rifles cracked, picking off high-ranking officers with surgical precision. The Zelvarn commander of the 2nd Battalion never even saw the shot coming. One moment he was barking orders, the next his head snapped back, a clean hole through his forehead. Chaos spread through the ranks. They tried to return fire, but the humans weren't standing and fighting like the Council forces had expected. They were moving, shifting positions between every shot. They didn't engage head-on. They ambushed, vanished, and then struck from another angle. "We can't see them," a Kirak psionic screeched over the comms. "Their minds are ghosts. I can't track them." The Green Berets had prepared for psionic trackers. Their helmets had been lined with psionic disrupting materials, scrambling any attempt to read their thoughts or detect their movements. They were invisible, and they were hunting. Psychological warfare begins. As the aliens attempted to regroup, the Green Berets switched tactics. From hidden speakers across the desert, human voices began whispering in the alien comm channels. "You're being watched. Your officers are already dead. Run." The Zolthari, despite their hardened exoskeletons, began to skitter in agitation. The Trolloc, massive and fearless in close combat, glanced around uneasily. Then came the holograms. Using portable holographic projectors, the Green Berets created false human silhouettes in the sand, figures that moved, fired weapons, and then disappeared when shot at. The aliens wasted precious ammunition firing at ghosts. Korthak, still watching from orbit, slammed his fist against the command deck railing. "Enough," he roared. "Regroup and overwhelm them." Luring the beast into the trap. With rage overcoming caution, Korthak ordered all troops to advance toward the ridgeline where they had spotted the snipers. Thousands of warriors surged forward, determined to crush the tiny Terran force. That was exactly what the humans wanted. As the first wave pushed into the canyon, the Green Berets triggered explosive charges along the cliffs. The walls of the canyon collapsed. Hundreds of soldiers were instantly buried alive beneath tons of rock and sand. Those who survived were now trapped, with no cover, in an artificial kill box. From the high ground, Green Beret fire teams opened up with suppressed automatic weapons, cutting them down with unrelenting precision. The Trolloc shock troopers, believing brute force could still save them, charged through the canyon, only for the humans to detonate hidden thermite charges, igniting their own path in walls of fire. The flames reflected off the Green Berets' mirrored visors as they watched the alien horde burn. For the first time, the Grand Galactic Army, a force of 20,000 elite soldiers, was panicking. The Zelvarn general watched in horror as the battle reports flooded in. "Impossible," he whispered. A force of 200 humans had just crippled his invasion. The battle had only just begun, but the outcome was already changing. The aliens had arrived expecting an easy slaughter. Instead, they had walked into hell. And the Green Berets? They were just getting started. The Ghosts of Aridax-4. The battlefield turned silent. The once proud Grand Galactic Army was in shambles. What had begun as an overwhelming planetary invasion had turned into a nightmare. Thousands of elite warriors lay dead, burned, or buried beneath collapsed canyon walls. Those still standing were scattered, leaderless, and terrified. But the worst part? They still hadn't seen the enemy. The Green Berets were phantoms, striking from nowhere, disappearing into the sand, always one step ahead. General Korthak, still watching from orbit, clenched his claws into the metal railing of his command deck. "Give me an accurate status report," he growled. A Zulthari field officer, his exoskeleton cracked from earlier skirmishes, trembled as he responded. "We have lost over half our forces, sir. The humans. How many of them are left?" Korthak interrupted. There was a long silence. Then the Zulthari spoke, voice barely above a whisper. "All of them, sir. The enemy we cannot see." Across the battlefield, the alien survivors tried to regroup. The Trolloc shock troopers, massive war beasts clad in heavy armor, formed defensive circles, their massive plasma cannons aimed outward. The Kirax psionic hunters, trained assassins with the ability to read thoughts, huddled together, attempting to track human minds. Nothing. The Green Berets weren't there, or at least not in any way they could sense. Then the shadows moved. A Kirax officer turned his head just in time to see a blade flash across his throat. A Green Beret, clad in camouflage gear, melted back into the darkness before the alien's body even hit the ground. Across the battlefield, it was the same story. Silent blades slashing through Zulthari exoskeletons before they could even scream. Snipers eliminating Tarkari field commanders with single, measured shots. Supply depots mysteriously detonating, leaving the survivors without food, water, or ammunition. The humans weren't fighting for survival anymore. They were hunting. The final stand of the Zelvarn. Realizing that his army was collapsing, General Korthak made a desperate gamble. If his forces could rally around a single point, they could hold out until reinforcements arrived. "All remaining forces, fall back to Sector 12, he roared through comms. The last 2,000 alien warriors, the shattered remnants of the Grand Galactic Army, scrambled toward the designated fallback zone, a natural rock formation with defensive cover. For a brief moment, they felt safe. Then the sky turned red. From the cliffs above, Green Beret fire teams emerged, launching incendiary grenades into the packed alien horde. Fire spread like a living thing, engulfing the last remnants of the once mighty army. Panic set in. The Zelvarn warriors, known for their brutality, broke rank. The Zulthari infiltrators, usually the ones instilling terror, now scuttled away in fear. "We have to surrender," a Tarkari lieutenant bellowed. Korthak's blood boiled. "We do not surrender to primitives," he roared, drawing his massive plasma blade. Then the voice came through his comms, calm, measured, and full of quiet confidence. "General Korthak, this is Admiral Elias Ward of the Terran Republic." Korthak froze. "Your forces are defeated. Your supply lines are destroyed. You are surrounded. Surrender now, or you won't have the chance." The Zelvarn general's claws dug into his palms. He had never surrendered, not once in his career. Then he looked around. The Grand Galactic Army, his invincible invasion force, was gone. Dead, burned, buried. And, standing above them, their rifles trained, were 200 human soldiers. Not a single one had been lost. Korthak exhaled shakily. The humans had won. This is impossible," he whispered. A Green Beret stepped forward, his expression unreadable beneath his mirrored visor. He dropped something onto the ground in front of Korthak. A combat knife. The meaning was clear. "If you think it was luck, the soldier said, his voice filled with amusement. "We can settle this the old way." For the first time in his life, Korthak stepped back. And for the first time in galactic history, an alien warlord surrendered to humans. The galaxy learns a lesson. Velthor Prime, Galactic Council Chambers. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council was silent. A place once filled with mocking laughter was now tense with disbelief. The official battle report had been delivered. 20,000 elite alien soldiers, the pride of the Council's military might, had been defeated by 200 humans. The invasion force had been eradicated. The few survivors, including General Korthak, had surrendered unconditionally. Not a single Green Beret had died. At the center of the chamber, Admiral Elias Ward stood once again. His stance was relaxed, his expression calm. He didn't need to say anything. The facts spoke for themselves. From their elevated platforms, the alien delegates shifted uneasily. The Zelvarn delegation, once so arrogant, sat in sullen silence. General Korthak, still bruised and battered from his surrender, refused to meet anyone's gaze. The Zolthari, usually smug and calculating, fidgeted with their mandibles, their posture stiff. The Tarkari, with their regenerating bodies, looked as if they wished they could regrow their pride as well. Finally, one of the council members spoke, a Varexi elder, their crystalline form shimmering in the chamber's artificial light. "We do not understand," they admitted, their voice echoing across the hall. "By all calculations, by all measures of strength, this should not have been possible." Admiral Ward finally smiled. "That," he said, "is because your calculations don't account for one thing." The Trolloc delegate, still scowling, rumbled in frustration. "And what human is that?" Ward took a step forward. "You measure strength in numbers, in size, in raw power." He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. "We measure strength in training, in strategy, in adaptability, and in something you've never encountered before." The council chamber leaned in. "What is that?" the Zolthari general hissed. Ward's smile widened. "The will to win." The council's response. The Kirax delegate, a telepathic species known for their cold logic, shook their head. "But your soldiers had no chance of victory. Even with superior tactics, sheer attrition should have wiped them out." Ward's expression turned grim. "You don't understand the kind of soldiers we sent to Aridax-4. He took out a small hollow projector and placed it on the council's podium. It flickered to life, displaying footage from the battlefield. A Green Beret sniper adjusting his rifle, calmly taking a shot that eliminated an alien commander from a mile away. A fire team dismantling an entire enemy squad, moving with such precision and coordination that the aliens never had a chance to fire back. A solitary soldier, bleeding from a plasma wound, setting up one last explosive charge before disappearing into the night. The aliens watched in stunned silence. This was not war as they understood it. This was surgical. This was merciless. This was human. The aftermath. The council chamber erupted in debate. Some called for further testing. Others demanded sanctions against the Terran Republic, fearful of what humans were capable of. But the Varexi elder spoke again, calm and firm. "No, this was fair combat. The humans have proven their worth." A silence fell over the hall. The Varexi elder turned to Admiral Ward. "Terrans, welcome to the Galactic Council." The official seal of the council appeared on the holoscreens above, confirming humanity's full membership. Some aliens grimaced. Others bowed their heads in reluctant respect. Ward nodded, but his expression held no arrogance, only certainty. "You were right about one thing," he said, looking at General Korthak. "Humans are weak. Compared to you, we're slower, smaller, and more fragile." Korthak narrowed his reptilian eyes, waiting for the inevitable, but Ward's voice was calm and final. "And yet, we still won." The implication was clear. If 200 humans could do this, what could an entire army of them accomplish? For the first time in its long, proud history, the Galactic Council was afraid, and humanity had just arrived.